Hello everyone and welcome. Now some of you may remember that around this time last year I made a video covering my predictions regarding who I thought would die during the Walking Dead Season 8 All Out War saga, and it turns out I didn't do too badly with my choices as 3 out of the 5 characters I selected ended up biting the dust. And that got me thinking, why not do the same again for Season 9? So in this video I will be talking about 4 characters who I think will die this season. Be warned, as I will be referencing some major comic book spoilers, most of which I believe will be translated over to the TV show. Just to let you know, I won't be talking about either Rick or Maggie as they've already confirmed to be leaving, so it just feels a bit like cheating to include them on this list. Also, we don't actually know if Maggie's going to die, as Lauren Cohen has said her exit is open-ended, as has Angela Kang, so she may come back at some point in the future. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. I'll start this list off with a double header of Ezekiel and Rosita. Double header, see what I did there because their heads get chopped off? Oh, never mind. Yes, I'm sticking my neck out on this one, as I'm backing The Walking Dead to follow the comics and have Ezekiel and Rosita's heads end up on the Whispered Spike towards the end of this season. My guess is that this classic comic moment will take place towards Season 9's conclusion, with it being the catalyst which will cause the war to take place next season. But why do I think the show will copy the source material and go with Ezekiel and Rosita, you ask? Well, I'll start with my reasons for Ezekiel first. During the episode A New Beginning, Ezekiel was shown to be in a very happy place with him being all loved up with Carol. Now, as good as being in love is, apart from when you're married. Someone, please help me.
What was that?
Nothing. Love you, yeah, love you. Love is never normally a good omen for characters on The Walking Dead. Judging on the series' history, it seems that when people fall in love, 9 times out of 10 they end up dying not long after. Ezekiel is a pretty popular character and I think the Whisperers need to offer someone big to have an impact, and unfortunately I see him taking the fall. I think Carol is going to get more screen time this season than she has during the last few years, and obviously Ezekiel's death is going to be a huge gut punch for her character. Don't be surprised if Ezekiel dies soon after Carol decides that she does actually want to marry him, just to make it even more emotional. I expect Ezekiel's death will spur on Carol to play a huge part in the fight against the Whisperers, and for me I see her being a major character during the war. I also think Ezekiel's death will bring her closer to Daryl. We've witnessed them both have a nice little moment during the premiere, and we all know that they've been close since the start of the show. Now, I'm not suggesting Ezekiel is going to die so these two can get together romantically. Instead, I just feel like Daryl will be the one to support her after he dies, which will only go to strengthen their long-lasting friendship even more. As for my reason for picking Rosita, well, I think our days are numbered, and they have been for quite some time now. Before anyone complains, I just want to say for the record, I like Rosita, and I always have, but I don't think the show really knows what to do with her. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't really remember what she did last season, apart from blowing some guy up with an RPG and being puked on by Eugene. To me, it seems like the writers don't really care an awful lot about her, and in my mind they don't have any real reason to go out of their way and change her comic book death. Sure, they could swap her with someone like Eugene, but Eugene has further comic arcs which haven't yet been explored, whereas Rosita doesn't. I'm sorry Rosita fans, but I just feel that her time is up. As for who else's head could end up on a spike, well, I think we will see many of the Walking Dead extras be victims. Characters such as the well-known Scott, for example.
Oh?
You know, Scott. Scotty boy. Old Scotty Scott.
Nah, never heard of him.
No, me neither. To be honest, I don't feel there's really much point of talking about the other characters like him who will die, because as harsh as it sounds, no one really cares. So that's why I've only just mentioned Ezekiel and Rosita. Anyway, next up on the hit list is the saviour Laura. We saw a brief snippet of Laura during this season's premiere, with the scene she featured in suggesting that she's working alongside Daryl to keep the peace at Sanctuary. Although Daryl was a bit shitty with her because someone had just died, I got the impression due to how she approached him that the two of them had become pals during the time skip, and I believe that Daryl trusts her enough to put her in some kind of position of power. With Carol seeming to be taking over from Daryl whilst he has a bit of a break, I think she will come to rely on Laura for guidance. Laura is one of the few remaining saviours who viewers can put a name to, so I think it makes sense for her to have a supporting role in helping Daryl and Carol, and sadly because of this I also think she's going to be killed. It seems like some of the saviours aren't happy without their ex-leader Negan, and I can see some trouble brewing at the factory before the mid-season finale with Laura not making it out alive. I'm sure that those who are still Negan despise the fact that Laura has seemingly switched sides and might come to regard her as somewhat of a traitor. Combine this with the fact that Laura was the one to give up the Saviour's surrender during the climactic battle last season, and there may be some Negan loyalists who resent her for being the one to give up the fight, even though it was already clear that they'd lost. From what little screen time Laura's had, she does seem like a cool character, but I don't think she will be around for much longer. Admittedly, my final choice is a bit of a curveball, and it's probably the one that I'm least confident about, but it's also the one that I really hope turns out being correct. I'm about to talk about some major comic spoilers now, so just keep that in mind. In the comics, Negan manages to escape his prison cell and ends up briefly joining the Whisperers. To cut a long story short, whilst with the group, Negan kills the leader Alpha and brings her head back to Rick. Shortly after, Beta assumes command, with him dying after the Whisperer War ends. So why do I think the fate of these two characters will be reversed on the TV show? Well, simply put, I think that the comics messed up big time in killing off Alpha, only to then have the much less interesting Beta take her place. Alpha was a genuinely scary, badass female antagonist, one that I wanted to see more of. Yes, it was shocking seeing Negan kill her, but for me it felt like such a waste. I wanted to see her and Rick battle it out. Well, not literally because he's a cripple in the comics, but I did want to see them both lead each other's communities into war. Instead, what we got was this pseudo-Alpha taking her place, meaning that the war didn't have the same spark to it, because the woman who was responsible for putting Rick's friend's head on spikes was already dead before it even started. To me, it felt like Kirkman had Negan kill her just so he could continue his love affair with his favourite character Negan, and it sucks that Alpha died just to make Negan look good. With that in mind, I'm hoping that the TV show doesn't go down the route the comics have taken. I think it would actually make a better story arc if Negan kills the wrong person. Imagine if he came back with the head of Beta thinking that he prevented the war, when in fact he actually kick-started the entire thing by killing Alpha's second in command. In addition, if Alpha turns out to be a decent on-screen villain, then I don't think viewers will want to see her die at the hands of Negan. For example, many fans still complain that Gareth wasn't on the show long enough with him being killed off too quickly, and I don't think it would be wise to build up Alpha as this big new villain only to then have her die in such an anticlimactic way. I suppose you could argue that it's better than having her stick around too long and having her outstay her welcome, but I think there's a lot that can be done with her character, and I don't want to see her die so easily. I don't know, maybe this suggestion is more out of hope than anything, but I think The Walking Dead could do a switcheroo with Alpha and Beta. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you agree with any of my choices, or do you think I'm completely wrong? And please let me know your predictions. As always, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.